Welcome back to Beyond the Sold Sign Real Estate Unplugged. You already know we are your podcast hosts and favorite realtors, Lauren
and Naya.
We got another good one for y'all today. But before we get into it, I just want to know, how was your week?
It's going pretty well.
It's going well? Okay. Good. If y'all don't know, we are on the same team, so we see each other quite a bit, and we talk, all the time. So this is not just something where we come, once a week and we just see each other. We're pretty much around each other quite a bit, so... But we do like to, see how each of our days and how our weeks are going.
How's your week?
It's going good. It's a little lot, but it works, okay? We're going to... I feel like this week is going to get a little busy, but that's when most of our...
And
when we start, a lot of people's week starts on Monday. Our week start on Thursday, and Friday. So, all right, y'all, we got another good one for y'all today. This is just a reminder that these stories that we're sharing, they have been experienced from realtors and just different people all over the world and in the real estate industry. We will never use names or locations, so don't be trying to guess if y'all know who these people are, because I promise you don't. Again, it's just a fun and exciting way for us to share tips and for you guys to get insights and see the world of real estate beyond the sold sign. Let's get into the story for the week, and this one is called Hidden Problems.
All right, let's get into it. So, a couple had been searching for their dream home for months. They finally thought they found the perfect property, a charming Victorian house in a picturesque neighborhood. However, their excitement quickly turned into a nightmare. After a thorough inspection, the couple made an offer on the house that was accepted by the seller. Everything seemed to be going smoothly until the final walkthrough before the closing. During the walkthrough, the buyers noticed several significant issues that had been concealed during the initial showings. First, they discovered there was extensive water damage in the basement that had not been disclosed by the seller or their agent. The damage was so severe that it would require costly repairs to make the basement habitable. Then, as they explored further, they realized that the beautiful original hardwood floors that had been one of the main selling points were in terrible condition. They had been cleverly hidden beneath rugs and furniture during the showings, and they now needed extensive refinishing. Their disappointment continued as they found that the house's wiring was outdated and not up to date or up to code, which poses a fire hazard that would require rewiring the entire property. In addition, the roof was in need of immediate replacement, something that had not been mentioned in the disclosures. The buyers confronted their real estate agent about these issues, and they learned that their agent had been unaware of the concealed problems as well. It appeared that the seller had deliberately hidden these major defects, potentially even covering them up to make the house seem more appealing. The situation became a legal matter, and the closing date was postponed indefinitely. The couple faced the difficult decision of either proceeding with a costly, unexpected renovation or walking away from the deal altogether. They were devastated by the turn of events and felt betrayed by the seller's lack of honesty. The experience served as a painful lesson in the importance of thorough due diligence and the potential pitfalls of real estate transactions. Despite their initial enthusiasm, they realized that sometimes what seems like a dream home can turn into a nightmare if proper precautions aren't taken.
Wow.
I need a sip.
I'm gonna
That was so,
That's a lot to digest. It is a lot. And there's that word again. We used that word last week of due diligence. Mm-hmm. And I feel like y'all may hear it a lot in our stories, because that's a big thing, is to make sure you are doing your due diligence. But in this story, just taking it back from the beginning, it looks as if they did have a home inspection.
Right.
They did their final walkthrough. Seems as if they had an inspector. Did the inspector not pick
Goodness gracious.
this up?
The thing that's getting me is the water damage, the wiring. These are major, easy, big indicators that your inspection is for sure going to inspect and investigate. And so it's how are these things missed? I'm not understanding.
No, you cannot miss that. Not an inspector. A good inspector would never miss this. That is those are things, roof, and just like Naya said, wiring, water damage, these are easy things that inspectors, that is what they're supposed to look for. Now, certain things that are under rugs that they found that was kind of, a defect, that's different. Home inspectors are most likely not going to be lifting up rugs to check out the flooring and how well it is. They want to make sure your house is structurally sound. They make sure that it's safe for you to move into. And nowhere in this story it seemed like it was safe for them to, let alone buy it and then move into it. It just did not seem like that was the case. And who was this home inspector? Where did they get them?
Right.
Did you get it from the seller? Like, did the seller recommend this home inspector? Don't never use, if you are a buyer, you are never to use the inspector that the listing agent or the seller recommends, because they are working for the seller. Always. They're working. The listing agent works for the seller, and obviously the seller wants to sell their house. So get your inspector from either your realtor or someone that you know, so that way you know that they have your best interest.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't ever want to not be protected with your own team of those who have your best interest. And like, number one, your realtor. Your realtor's number one duty above all is to have your best interest at all times. And so that is just another reason why, as a buyer, you always want to have representation by a real estate agent. You don't ever want to be doing a transaction on your own for reasons just like this one. Imagine if they did not even have a realtor to like turn to sort through all of this out with. Like, that would have been a million times scarier than it already was.
It would have been bad. Like, legal matters. Like, I feel like they would have went straight, like, we are getting an attorney because this should not happen. And if you guys listen to the story, this happened during the final walkthrough. And if you don't know, a final walkthrough usually happens like between a week or a day before settlement. So you go in. So the main reason for a final walkthrough is so that you go into the house and you make sure that it looks the exact same as when you last saw it, whether that was either during your last showing or your inspection. And you want to make sure that when you go into that final walkthrough, again, it looks the same before you sign on that dotted line and you buy the house.
Right.
Well, this is why we do final walkthroughs, because things like this can happen. And it sucks that it happened the final walkthrough happened the day before closing. And if I was them, there would be no way I would close on this house.
No.
Not until we either had something in writing, some type of conversation that just lets the buyers know, hey, we will fix these things, but there's no way I would let my buyers close on that house. No. There's just no way. It doesn't make any sense. So, and then like, who's at fault here? Who is at fault? Is the listing agent, the seller, the inspector, the buyers, or the buyer's realtor? Who do you think will be at fault?
Well, oh my gosh, there's a few parties that it feels like didn't do what they were supposed to do. So, they mentioned that it felt like the seller was deliberately concealing things like the floor. So, like, definitely on the seller. And I would say the agent, too. Like, you're connected to the seller. Like, you have to know what's going on truthfully with the property as well. And then major red flag is whoever their inspector was.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
That inspector did a horrible job. Yeah. There's no way that you had a thorough inspection done and you're seeing all these issues, the, final walkthrough before closing. Like, that's unacceptable. These are major. These are not like small things. Like, no. These are major things that the inspector should have picked up. So he's definitely at fault for not truly doing a good inspection.
I agree. I think the inspector's at fault. Yeah. And then like, were the buyers in attendance at this inspection? Right. Always be in attendance. If you're a buyer, always be in attendance at your inspection, because one, you learn so much about your house, and there could be nothing wrong, but you still want to learn and know what's going on. And if you're there and present, you may be able to tell, oh, this inspector is not doing something right. Or at least if your realtor was there. This is telling me that the realtor was also not in attendance at this inspection, because any good realtor that's working for their buyers, they would know, hey, you did not do this. Right. You didn't check this. What about checking this? And you could tell that, unfortunately, that did not happen. I'm not blaming the realtor, but I do feel as though they should have had the buyers back, made sure that these things were taken care of and that they were in attendance for the inspection, because that inspector wasn't very good. Also, if you don't know what hidden defects are called in the real estate world, they're actually called latent defects. These are things that we just cannot see with like the naked eye. Right. If we walked into a house, we can't see that there may be termites behind the wall or something like that. Like, so there are certain things that are called latent defects, and it seems as if the seller did deliberately hide those things, which is not latent defects. That's different. That's not the same thing.
About that you can see the floor with the naked eye, and you know, the water damage, like these are things that you can see and that I'm sure he knew about from living in the home. Right. Yeah.
And he should have, or she, whomever the seller is, definitely should have disclosed those things. 100%. Whether or not your house was going to sell for more or less, you still have to address it. And if you want to sell your house for more, go ahead and fix those things. It's not the buyer's fault that they walked in and, you know, they have all these issues. No buyer wants to walk into a house with all these issues. So if anything, you should go ahead and fix it if you can. And again, that this should never happen, especially not during a final walkthrough. Right. Your final walkthrough, you want to walk in peaceful because you're about to close on your house. You do not want to walk in stressed. And now you probably you're supposed to close the next day. So do you even have a house to go back to?
Because now it's like all your housing situations were probably lined up based on you moving into the new home.
Yep, it is. Yeah. And like you had mentioned, and you actually mentioned this a lot when, just as working, again, guys, we work together. So you always say to do not be afraid to be thorough at your showings. Naya will lift up, if she could cut a little bit of the carpet just to see if there's like hardwood floor underneath, she would. So she's very in it when it comes to making sure her buyers are taken care of. And I feel like the team does.
Don't be afraid when you're at your showings to move furniture around, lift up the rug. Like, I think, as a buyer, you may not know that you can go in and do these things like when you're looking at a home, but you are viewing the home, and you can view whatever you can view about the home. You want to know and gather as much info as you can while you're in that property. So don't be afraid to lift the carpet up, to move that couch over, to hands and knees and look under, whatever. You can do that. Plenty of times I'm even at a open house and people are asking oh, can I pull the thing down to look into the attic? And I'm like, go ahead. You are able to look, to peer, to move, to do all of those things to get a really good sense of, is this a home that you want to see about? Is it a home you want to pursue? Or is it,
is it not?
Yeah.
Or is it not?
Or is it not?
Exactly.
Is it not? And then I want to mention also, so obviously you're listening and you're like, okay, cool, I go get an inspection, but what if these red flags did come up in the inspection and they saw it originally? Then yes, you can walk away from the home having received this inspection report and seeing, there are some bigger major things that you may not want to be responsible for fixing in order to move in. And so when you get under contract for a home, you most times will have an inspection contingency in place. And so this is something that you can make sure and discuss with your realtor to make sure that you have that protection. So basically that means, cool, I'm under contract for this home with this contingency regarding the inspection. So you get the inspection done. If everything is great, or you're able to negotiate a few things with the seller that you may want fixed, cool, you move forward. With that inspection contingency, you also have the option to walk away in that time period of that contingency if there are some things that you discover about the home based on the inspection that you and the seller either can't agree on negotiating, or just big items that you just don't want to deal with. So you're able to walk away in that inspection contingency time, so you are protected.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. That's exactly right. And of course, we always leave you guys with some tips because, I mean, who would we be if we did not? Okay. The first one, I think, I'm going to take yours because I love that. Just do not be afraid to look around. Look around during your inspection, look around during the showing, look around during your final walkthrough. Do not forget and do not hesitate because that could be your house and you want to make sure you know what's going on with it.
Right. And so right on top of that, always do the inspection. Again, you're going to be protected with your inspection contingency. So go ahead and do the inspection. So you can really know what's going on and make an educated decision about moving forward with the home or not.
Yep. And it's always great, guys, to have representation. If you don't know, working with a buyer's agent or if you're a buyer working with an agent, we do not charge. So the realtors are not charging you. So get the representation because we have your back. We are there for you, especially buyers and sellers. But for buyers, we do not charge. So you are not paying us anything. So we're pretty much working for free. So why not use this? We want to make sure that you are covered at all times. So I think those are our tips for this episode. And it is time to wrap up yet another one. And we really hope you enjoyed the journey through real estate and this crazy story and insights that we shared today.
Yes. And of course, if you found this episode valuable, please comment, like, subscribe, and share it with others. That will help us grow and continue to bring you content like this.
And we're always on the lookout for more incredible real estate stories. So if you have a tale to tell or you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. We can be found on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and any other platforms that you can just find us on. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great week.
Cheers.